Can you imagine? This is a half a glass of sugar. Can you imagine eating all of it once? Isn't it difficult even in your imagination? But in a bottle of Coca-Cola, theirs is this much of sugar. Coca-Cola was invented in 1886 by a pharmacist named Dr. John Smith Pemberton. Since its inception, it has quickly become one of the largest and most influential companies in the world. Love or hate their drinks, everyone knows what Coca-Cola is. But what many people may not know is the dark history and facts behind this world-famous drink. Let's reveal the dark side of Coca-Cola. Water shortages. We all know that the exact formula to make Coca-Cola is kept a secret. It will probably remain that way for a long time, if not forever. While we don't know everything that's put into Coca-Cola, we do know that they most definitely use water. You can't make most drinks without water, so it's not surprising that the sugary drink has a lot of water in it. This, however, becomes a problem in countries that have issues getting clean water on a constant basis. It takes a lot of water to make just one bottle of Coca-Cola, and this has resulted in poorer countries not having any access to water due to Coca-Cola factories using up all of the liquid. Not only do people not have enough water to drink, but they don't have enough water for their crops, meaning they also miss out on watering, consuming, and making the food they need to survive. Employees dying. You wouldn't think that working at a Coca-Cola factory could result in anyone dying, but that's exactly what happened to several Coca-Cola factory workers in Colombia. It was in 1986, and the day started off relatively normal when the factory was suddenly ambushed by a bunch of wild-eyed members of a nearby paramilitary group. A Colombian Coca-Cola executive tried to get the men to leave, but the men refused and they ended up killing the executive. This resulted in the paramilitary group giving Coca-Cola an ultimatum: be quiet and leave or die. Of course, the employees left the factory as quickly as they could, where the group took over the factory and made it theirs. Coca-Cola still receives criticism for this, as they did very little to find out why this murder went down in the first place. Not to mention, when the factory eventually opened up again, most of the original workers were simply fired. False advertising. Coca-Cola obviously wants to be the biggest beverage company in the world. At this point, it's safe to say that they probably are. Although, their size hasn't stopped them from buying out companies in order to make as much money as possible. This is what happened in India in 1977. Coca-Cola had begun their expansion to India, selling their products at local shops. Unfortunately, they didn't do as well as they planned. Few people bought their product, and Coca-Cola lost a lot of money, so they left before they could lose any more cash. Then in 1977, an Indian company called Thumbs Up appeared, and they sold their own fizzy drink. Coca-Cola had already left, leaving the opportunity for another company to take its place. Coca-Cola ended up buying the Thumbs Up company and rebranding it. This caused people to think they're giving their money to Thumbs Up, but it really ends up in the pockets of Coca-Cola. This means that Coca-Cola is selling Coca-Cola without people even realizing it. Health concerns. Can Coca-Cola kill you? If you drink enough of it, it apparently can. Coca-Cola faced criticism when a woman from New Zealand apparently drunk herself to death by drinking too much of the soda. She was only 30, and she spent most of her days gulping down bottle after bottle of Coca-Cola. The coroner who observed the woman's body said that many of her medical conditions could be linked back to her Coca-Cola addiction, which raises the question, just how addictive is Coca-Cola? There's no doubt that many people drink Coca-Cola several times a day. But what's never acknowledged by the company is what makes their particular ingredients so addictive that it has the ability to lead to an adult's death. The coroner did say that if she hadn't been drinking so much Coca-Cola, then she still would have been alive, something Coke never really faced up to. Marketing towards children. In the 1990s, Coca-Cola was trying to tackle the idea of getting the younger generations to consume their products. The 90s were a time where things were slowly changing in regards to what we ate and drank, but Coca-Cola was quick to jump and make certain that kids would drink their products and their products only while at school. The company would hand over money to schools, which would result in Coca-Cola getting the rights to sell their drinks in said schools. This resulted in one New York school getting a stadium with a giant Coca-Cola sign, which meant kids were being advertised to even when at school. Schools were then urged to sell the products to the kids, despite how unhealthy too much of the product can be. Schools were even threatened with making less money if they sold drinks like milk and fruit juices. CocaCola Wine. At this point, we all know that Coca-Cola had traces of cocaine in their drinks. But did you know that Coca-Cola was originally meant to be a straight-up alcoholic drink? Coca-Cola was supposed to be simple but sweet-tasting wine, but Prohibition came around, making the overall drink illegal. That was when the creator of Coca-Cola decided to include cocaine into the drinks instead. They then rebranded the drink as a headache cure, with the medicinal power coming from the cocaine. This was, of course, a time before people really knew what kind of damage cocaine could actually do. While Coca-Cola never seems to really acknowledge the odd things in their drinks, they were criticized recently because of reports that were released. The report stated that Coca-Cola did indeed contain traces of alcohol, which doesn't appear to be written anywhere on the bottle. This caused an uproar, especially in countries that have a strict anti-alcohol culture. If you like this video, comment down what you think on Coca-Cola, and also like and subscribe for more educational videos.